To the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone. Before we get on to the town business, I have a little statement to read. I'd like to welcome the board and the public to our town board meeting for April. There are a few changes that we have made to the agenda and meeting layout after extensive conversations with our town attorney. Going forward, if a committee, board, or department wishes to address something with the town board, I am asking that you supply us with a written report 10 days prior to the town board monthly meeting. This will give time for review and will allow us to place the subject on the agenda. We will be sticking to the agenda of the meeting. We have been advised by the attorney that public comment should only happen at the end of the meeting during the public comment section. We're asking that the public comment be limited to 3 minutes per person. We ask if you wish to address the board after being called on, you stand, tell your name for the record, and if pertinent, where you are from or who you represent. It is our hope that these changes will help our meetings to run more smoothly. We understand that we will not get this perfect immediately. I, as the town supervisor, thank you for your understanding and help with this. Does anyone have any items on the agenda they wish to recuse themselves from? Hearing none. If you have reviewed the town board minutes, I ask for a motion and a second to approve the March minutes. No motion. I'm waiting for a motion to approve the minutes. Waiting for a motion.
Maybe. Oh, I have a statement. I take this opportunity to read into the record my feelings on the matter of the March minutes. Under New York State town law, the town clerk shall attend all meetings of the town board, act as the clerk thereof, and keep a complete and accurate record of the proceedings of each meeting and of all propositions. The town clerk is responsible for adequately protecting the minute book as a public record, while the town board is responsible for maintaining the secure facilities in which public records are kept. Public officers law provides that the minutes must consist of a record or summary of all motions, proposals, resolutions, and any other matter formally voted upon and the vote thereon. Beyond serving as a historical record of the town minutes book serves as a legal record of town actions and proceedings. It is recommended that the information be short and specific. Adjectives and editorial comments should not be included in the official minutes. Errors will occasionally occur. While corrections or amendments are needed, both the Committee on Open Government and the Office of the State Controller have opined that a town board member may not unilaterally alter or direct that minutes be altered. Rather, minutes may be amended only pursuant to action taken by a majority of vote of the total membership of the town board. Most importantly, amendments or corrections may be made only if the changes accurately reflect what transpired at the meeting. This is how these two books, Town Clerk Manual and the Town Law Manual, put together by the Associations of Towns, reads in regards to open meetings law and the opinions of the Committee on Open Government and the State Comptroller's Office lays this subject out. I did not write up the March minutes on a whim. In total honesty, I really took my time thinking about how I was going to handle recording the way the last town board meeting played out. It was my opinion that in being respectful to those on the board and the residents of this town, I needed to do my due diligence. I spoke to several of my town clerk comrades in other towns. I spoke extensively to our town attorney, and I leaned on opinions given by the Associations of Towns and the Committee on Open Government. As usual, when taking a poll, the comments and directions were varied. I was still conflicted, and I felt like I was backed into a corner. And there would definitely be those who disagree with my choice for excluding certain conversations from the meeting in the official minutes. I will, though, tell you how I came to the decision that I did when putting the minutes together. At the end of the day, the minutes are a product of my office, and I take that extremely seriously. Sometime down the road, someone will be looking through these old minute books, and they'll come across March of 2024. Do we want them to see the town of Ankrum conducting the business of this town, if not in comradeship, at least in respectfully? I'm the keeper of the history of this town, and I take that very earnestly. I strongly feel that parts of our last meeting did not need to be included. There was no vote taken. There was no resolution passed on the subject. And so after much deliberation and counsel extensively by our attorney, I did as I was directed, and I left the confrontation out. I could not in good conscience report one part and not the other. And so I conclude with this. I remind each of us here at this dais, we sit in these seats because the residents of this town put their trust in us, that we lead Ankrum forward. How do we want to be remembered by future generations? We must remember that we are being looked on by other towns. How do we want them to view us? At the end of the day, I'm fairly certain that we all want the same things. Beautiful place to live, neighbors who we cherish as friends, a community that goes forward together, not divided. I leave you with a quote that I heard many, many times as a child. Ankrum is the most beautiful place in the world. This is God's country. Why would we want to live anywhere else? Pope Dieter. So I hope that lays out how I came about the minutes. And a little grace is given in it. I'm not perfect, but that's where I'm at.
Do I have a motion on the minutes?
This may be approved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of the March meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Vote is 3-2. The minutes are approved. I need a motion and second to approve the budget adjustments, warrant and pay the bills. And the budget adjustment is for parks because of the work that's being done down there to replace the pipe under the ball fields. It was only $1,500 put into the budget for the parks. So I move that we move $3,000 from the fund balance to 7110.4 parks to pay those bills.
Need a motion?
Yes.
I make a motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to for the budget adjustment. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Did that motion include approving the warrant, paying the bills, David?
Yes.
Colleen?
Yes.
Town highway report.
Well, we've been kind of busy fighting with the weather. We had another section of the heavy rains and winds to wreak havoc there back on the 4th of March, I believe it was, or April, I mean. I received word that 2 bodies of the Kenworth trucks will be delivered in May. Taking one of them up swag so they can start prepping it for the work. And the second truck will go as soon as first one's returned. I received word the new truck chassis build date is again delayed until July. I'm sure the reason for that. We replaced outside the culvert pipe on Woods Extension to better facilitate stormwater runoff. We've been sweeping sand from the roads. We've had another, I already talked about that. We've done grading the dirt roads where weather conditions allow, which is Barnaby between. Been doing some ditch work on various roads, and we continue stockpiling gravel. One thing I'd like to bring up to the board. The roadside mowing season is coming real quick, and I'd like to buy another mower on the back of the tractor to complement the one on the side, so we can hopefully get a little more done a little faster, make a lot more of the mowing process, a lot more efficient. I priced one from Pine Plains Tractor for about $4,800. I can go buy that without your approval, but I just want to run by you guys, so I got the money to pay for it. Budget.
Any comments?
Was this not known to you when we did the budget? I mean, it wasn't put on the equipment list.
No, so it's, the county does it this way. We have just one mower on the side. It does 5 feet at a time. Sometimes we've got to make 2, 3, sometimes 4 passes to mow back the way it should be. And this will greatly.
Is it new or used?
New.
Well, do we need to stand up and salute? So he's allowed to spend up to $5,000 in his own discretion in his budget. So, I mean, I don't have an issue with it. Does anyone else?
I just want to run by you guys before I get it. And the only other thing weather allows, we're planning on starting that pipe project down on the ball field next week.
All right, thank you.
That's it.
I have a motion, a second to approve the highway report.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Town clerk tax collector report.
So for the month of March, I collected a big $40 in fees. I licensed 5 dogs and gave out 1 certified copy. At this point, I'm at 89% of my 2024 tax roll collection. Second notices went out in April. They will go back up to the county at the end of May. And I leave Ankrum on Sunday to go to Albany for my town clerk's convention and my classes. I'll be back in town Wednesday afternoon, so I'll be back in the town hall on Thursday. That's it.
Motion to accept the town clerk tax collector's report.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? So carried. Town court report.
Who's on?
Is Ruth on? Yes. Does she want to give a report or do we?
Ask her.
All right. So we will skip that report since no one is here. And I don't understand, Monica, why do we need a motion to do this?
They're going to bring, we've all been here when they bring their docket
Yeah,
for approval, and then we have to send a report to the state.
yeah.
So you are approving her coming next meeting. You don't want to do a
Alright.
motion in a second. I don't think you have to.
No. I don't want to.
Okay, moving on.
All right, departments, boards and committees. Report of the building department. I don't see Eddie here. And I have. If I can find that.
This is CPL.
I have a report here that the building inspector contacted George Smith, one of our engineers, to take a look at the what is called the Tinsmith House at the intersection. I'll just read it. I am following up our site observation this morning with this email. As you are aware, we visited the Cantor site located at the corner of Route 82 and County Route 7. I have attached a few pictures here too, which I don't have. The westerly foundation wall, which is comprised of laid up fieldstone, is showing significant signs of buckling. This wall appears to be set upon a large wooden timber, as opposed to a concrete footing. Additionally, the wall is approximately 10 to 12 feet maximum from the traveled way and may be subject to wheel loading. Should this wall fail completely, the structure will likely fall, which may result in injury to those working inside or in the traveling public if the debris lands in the roadway. Due to the condition of the wall and proximity to the county road, it is recommended that Mr. Cantor retain a qualified engineer, prepare a plan to fix the buckling foundation wall. At a minimum, I would think said plan will entail temporary bracing to take the structural load off of the building. Details of the permanent fix replacement of the foundation wall, including an actual concrete footing drain, maintenance and protection of traffic plan, and temporary shoring deemed necessary for the road while the foundation work is being accomplished. I recommend that the above described plan be prepared and submitted to your office sooner rather than later, and that any unnecessary work inside the building be halted out of an abundance of caution until a structural engineer has made an assessment of the situation. So that's I received that from the building inspector. This letter action here.
Engineer, you know?
I also from the building inspector. This letter I will read. For 20 years, I have been using my own vehicle to make the important inspections as necessary to conform with the New York State building and fire codes, as well as the town of Ankrum zoning laws. The fire department and the highway department both have vehicles in order to perform their duties as necessary. The building department revenues have been tens of thousands of dollars for more than what the department requires to operate on for many years now. It has record It has record revenues for the past 3 years. As you know, this excess money gets added into the general fund. I am requesting that the town board review these revenues and consider having a vehicle for the entire town hall employees to use as necessary. It has also come to my attention that the town does have a van which is kept at another location instead of being parked here for employee use. This has even been a problem for me in deciding whether I should upgrade my personal vehicle if I have to use it on rough stone and unpaved driveways for the town. Sincerely, Ed Ferrato, Building and Zoning Enforcement Officer.
Is there a reason he couldn't use the van?
I don't believe there is, but I don't know if Jack's back home, so I haven't been able to, is he home? I will contact him and talk to him
I
about it.
think they only use it on Monday.
Yes, I will do that.
But I'm just sitting there the rest of the week. I don't see
Yeah.
why.
I agree.
To do own it, correct?
Yes,
Pay insurance.
yes. We will work that out.
Everybody agrees with that. I think.
I think that's a really good idea.
Because I don't really see us buying another vehicle.
No, I agree. I'll get it taken care of.
We all agree? Good idea.
Everyone agree?
I think that's.
Yeah.
All right. All right, next is a report. Yeah, a report from the Conservation Advisory Council, Jane Meggs.
Hi. So, I'm here tonight to recommend that the town of Ankrum create an open space plan, which will help guide development and planning for the town. What is an open space plan? An open space plan would identify the most valuable areas for conservation and protection in Ankrum. These areas can be scenic and historic places, parks and farmland, as well as environmental areas. An open space plan is an educational and planning document for the town. It is voluntary, it makes recommendations, and is non-mandatory. In the open space plan, we would delineate the highest conservation priority areas on maps as a way to protect these areas and to guide development to parts of the town where more development would be desirable. Fortunately, Ankrum already has important foundational documents which serve as a foundation for the open space plan. Our comprehensive plan states that we will, quote, encourage farming and the rural small town scenic character of Ankrum. Develop policies and programs to protect groundwater, watersheds, streams, wetlands, woodlands, ridgelines, and wildlife habitats. That's from the town of Ankrum Comprehensive Plan from 2010. Our National Resource Conservation Plan, which was approved by the town board in 2015, was developed to guide the town's stewardship of the land and water that supports the people, farms, businesses, and natural areas of Ankrum. Ankrum's NRCP describes important areas for conservation and protection, but does not prioritize them. An open space plan would take the next logical step to prioritize and help preserve those areas. This would help ensure that Angra meets its comprehensive planning goals. The NRCP already notes and describes 6 important conservation areas in Angra. And I made a copy of, the page from the NRCP, which, has these areas, which is really very convenient. I don't know if any of you have looked at this report from 2015. If you want to, it's online. You can click on it and you can see, that a lot of careful work has been done by the CAC and by Hudsonia to break Ancrum down into specific environmental areas that make sense for the town. And I just wanted to hand one of these pages out to each of the board members. And the reason it's important is the CAC would like to approach our planning for the conservation, for the open space plan based on there are 2 or 1 there. Can't tell.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's two.
okay. And there's 2 more here. So it's a good way for us to divide up the work, divide the labor, have people from CAC and other community members come together and decide what's important to preserve in each one of these areas. And we really want to have input from all community members. So we're going to use these 6 conservation areas as a structure for open meetings and working groups where community members would be invited to offer input in developing key spots for conservation in each area. This is very much geared to be a process which involves the community. It's not just a small group making decisions for everybody. It's everybody in the town working together to decide what are the areas that are important to this area. To lead the open space plan process, Ancrum would form an open space plan advisory committee, which would consist of members of the Conservation Advisory Council, the Planning Board, the CRC, present and past town board members, members of the Agriculture Council, and other qualified and interested community members. We're very fortunate that Gretchen Stevens, recently retired biodiversity director of Hudsonia and member of the Hillsdale CAC, has offered to advise us in all aspects of creating an open space plan, including designing new maps, researching questions, and producing educational flyers. The CAC would like to apply for grants from New York State, from the Hudson Valley Estuary Program and the Greenway Planning Program to help cover costs for mapping and creating educational materials, and to pay Gretchen Stevens for her consulting services. We would also like to be able to use designated CAC annual funding, which is, I believe, $2,500 a year. So that's the proposal, and we hope you will think it's a good idea. And I think it will really help. As I said, it's the next logical step to pull together the documents we already have and create a document which helps us make good decisions. And I just want to share one more quote, which I got from the local planning guide on the New York State DEC and Department of State website, which is, if people decide which areas should be retained as open space and which areas should be developed for more intensive use, then they can say that they can save what they love best about their communities while still accommodating desirable growth. So this isn't like keeping everything as it is. This is thinking about our town. What are our shared common natural resources? How can we protect the quality of life in our community, not get broken up in little slices here and little slices there, and all kinds of subdivision, visions that is not the vision for neighbors. We want to keep the small town character. We want to protect our natural, historic, and recreational assets. So, do you have any questions for me?
So it seems like it gives you another tool
Yeah.
for people who want to develop, or developers who want to come in to know what's important and what's protected.
Yes, very much. It's family, it's a community planning document. It's an educational document in the same way that the NRCC was.
Right.
But this is more concise. And one of the great things Gretchen said is, this doesn't have to be hundreds of pages. You can already draw on documents that you have. And it could be a much more reasonable sized document, like 20 to 30 pages. But that will also depend on the input from the community that we receive.
So to sort of complement the NRCP.
Absolutely, and kind of give it a little more direction. Help prioritize those important areas that need to be saved.
And I like that you're proposing to include members of the community that serve in different aspects. So it's not just the CAC that
Right.
is. that is
Yes,
going
and
to
we
be
will
making that.
send it, we would like to send an invitation to the town. And invite people to come. As I said, we'd like someone who's from the Agricultural Council. People from the zoning revisions committee, perhaps the ZBA as well. The planning board, obviously, and the CAC. And other interested and qualified individuals who have an interest in preserving. The Ancrum we know and love.
Well, it's kind of like what we did with the comp plan.
Yeah.
Invited people in and we change ideas. And
Yeah, yeah.
decide what's important.
And it's considered sort of can be an outgrowth of the common law.
Right, yeah. That's a great idea.
Good. Well, thank you. And if I may need time to think about it, but and I don't know what the next step would be, but if I don't know if you could approve this evening, or you want to have more time, to discuss and think about it, that's entirely up to you. But the CAC is ready to work. We're ready to go ahead with our next steps, which would be pretty surely would be to form the committee, the advisory committee.
If we want to apply for grant funding, the deadlines for that are fast approaching,
Yeah.
like early May. So it would be something that should be decided on sooner than later, at least to explore, doing the funding.
Well, yes, and to get the process started.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big job.
Yeah.
So we'd like to, hit the ground running and get people involved and get the funding we need to do the extra work of mapping.
It doesn't seem to me that there's any downside to enabling you to go ahead with it.
Yeah, still a volunteer.
Right.
I think probably next step would be maybe vote to go approve this, and then I can go ahead and form a committee. Right?
How's this gonna fit with the planning board and everything right now? I mean, what is it? Is it gonna add more to the process?
Pardon me, would you?
I said, how is this gonna fit with our planning board right now? Is it gonna add more to the process?
Well, not necessarily. I don't, I think that, this will be a good concise document that's really up to date. And it can be consulted easily, For example, we have to update things like town population figures. Any new parklands in the area, we have to, and the number of farms. And so it will have updated information that's really current. And I think that it might actually save planning board some time.
Okay.
I don't think it's actually meant to create any more rules or regulations. It's just an identifier of sorts. Is that right?
Right,
Yeah.
to help people make it the best informed decisions.
So the CAC is already involved in this.
Oh, yes, we've been.
You're just looking for other members to join the committee and
Yes, yes, and we're also looking for the town board approval to say, yes, this is a good idea, please go ahead and do the work.
I'll make a motion to do that.
I'll second it.
motion made and seconded to approve Jane's request. All in favor? Opposed? So carried.
Thank you, that's great, we'll get harder.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next up, I have a recommendation. Excuse me. Recommendation from the planning board to appoint Jessica Lovelace to the planning board as an alternate member.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to appoint Jessica to the planning board as an alternate member. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. Next is a report from the Ankrum Housing Committee.
That would be me, thank you. I do have a written report that I'll start with. We have been very active this month. The first thing I want to brag about is that we were, I think only the second town in Columbia County to be approved to the pro-housing community designation. So we had to go through a long process. And Will's not here tonight, but Will Weiss did a lot of the work. We applied and we had to fill in a whole lot of zoning information. And so basically what happens is we are now eligible for, there's a funding pool of $650 million available that we could apply for. And anyone who has this approval gets to the front of the line, so to speak. So we'll be in line for grants. Let's see.
Nobody knows.
They, in the letter that we got, the official letter, they're saying, you know, the New York State rents have risen 40 to 60% since 2015. And home prices have risen 50 to 80%. So, you know, the need is obviously there. The committee has been looking at a property in Ankrum on Route 82. And we have some interest from hopefully a developer or two. We're looking at the property to hopefully develop into some housing, but first we have to do some engineering, get a perk test, and we want to get maybe a quick walkthrough environmental study, those types of things. And we have a $35,000 budget line, so we feel like this isn't going to really be that much money, and we really want to move ahead with those tests to see if it's feasible at all to even develop. But I think it's got great possibility, and the committee's been really doing a lot of work on it. We've had the real estate agent, and Dave Hall, who's my co-chair, is also a real estate agent. So they've been working to try to figure out if we can move forward on it. But it's kind of exciting to think about. Maybe we had a really good meeting with Hudson River Housing, which is a affordable housing developer based out of Dutchess County, but they're moving into Columbia and beyond, and they do little smaller projects, single family homes, 2 and 4 unit multiples, a lot of rentals. So we're kind of thinking on the rental market. But we're busy working on that. We're also working with Chris Brown, who's heading up the county task force. And he's come out and he's working with us. The Columbia Land Conservancy is working with us. So we're in the process of discovery so far, but we are getting kind of excited about it, hoping maybe something will happen. But it's a long process of legalities, and you know, there are some possible donors that would donate money. So I think in the next month or so, maybe sooner, we'll try to get some of those tests performed and just see what the feasibility is, so that maybe we can get something going. So that's the biggest news on that. But now that we're also available for these grants, we can. I think only one other town in the Columbia County so far has gotten it. So anyway, that's all I have. Right now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Hopefully.
All right. Pavilion Committee report. Would you like me to read this or did you want to read it, Steve?
No, I don't have it from there.
A report from the Pavilion Committee. Initial architectural drawings completed. We'll need shop drawings for trusses to ensure they can bear solar panel. Had discussions with S&L Builders who built the Millerhurst barn. A broad estimate of 60,000, but they only do metal roofs. We have asked them if they can do everything else and we could have someone else do the roof. Haven't heard back. Waiting for a detailed estimate from Wes Coons, who gave a very broad estimate of 100,000. Have reached out to Double O Builders, awaiting expression of interest. In all cases, assumption is the foundation will be installed by a local contractor. Doing the labor, cost of materials estimated at 16 to 20,000. Location will be parallel to the current basketball courts, which will be refurbished. We may also paint a pickleball court in the blacktop and create a multi-use facility for that. And right at the moment, we're working on replacing the culverts under the field so we could get to work at the pavilion if we make the decision to do that. Are there any?
I have good news on the pavilion. So I have reached out to Lee Barrett's office. There are grants available for infrastructure. And I spoke with them at length, and we could get up to $125,000. And all I have to do is, after we talk about it tonight, I'll be in touch with them even tomorrow. They would nominate us for this grant. It's not a lengthy application. It take a couple of weeks. And the good news is, we can get going on it. We have to pay up front and it would be reimbursed. And it could take up to 10 months to a year to get the money back. But it's available, it's there, and which means we could have a really nice pavilion. We can get somebody to build it. He was unclear about whether we had to get multiple bids. He said since COVID, they're kind of not so strict about getting all the bids. Hillsdale just got a grant for $125,000 for their sewer. They helped pay for the Millerton Highway Garage with the same kind of grant. And Gallatin is getting a bunch of money for their town hall, so we are in line to use it for whatever, and I think the pavilion is a good way to, I don't know how we were gonna pay for it in the first place. But we will pay for it, but this way, I think it won't be a difficult process to apply for this grant, and it's available.
Can you send me that information from her office? I did one for Mark Molinaro's group as well, so I'm assuming it's probably similar, is my guess. So I've already done, I did an application for that.
The same pool of money, is it?
I don't know, but I mean, it can't hurt, right?
Can't hurt.
Because I've done a lot of the background research and information for that.
For the pavilion.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that would be a really good idea if we talk and
Okay, I'll speak to them maybe tomorrow.
yeah.
And where we go, and you can send me what you have. And I'll talk to their office.
Yeah.
But
Work
I
together.
think one way or another, hopefully we can find something.
Is the location of pavilion definitely settled?
Public comment at the end of the meeting. Okay, I have three resolutions to offer. First resolution is a motion to approve for our highway superintendent to attend highway school.
Oh, boy.
Bet right now you're wishing you hadn't put that in there, aren't you?
Let's think of that.
Have a motion, please.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Do we need a roll call vote, man?
No, I think we're okay on that one.
All in favor? Oh, so carried. The next resolution offered is to go ahead with our bond to purchase the new highway truck and the two new dump bodies. Since we've advertised for the bond resolution, there's been no comments or anything from the public. So we just need a motion to move on and secure the bond to pay for the equipment.
And we still have, T-bills bringing in more interest than the, interest of the loan.
Yes, what did I do with that? I forgot all about that, David. But I have it here somewhere. Anyway, what I propose is. Where's my folder go?
Those are the bills.
Anyway. I propose a 6-year bond at $86,600 a year. And I believe it is 4.30% interest.
Right on the agenda, 4.3.
Is it?
I know what that is, but I'm saying, what are we making on interest rates as well?
The interest we're making on the T-bills are,
Range between 5.17 and 5.
So we're gonna make money.
yeah,
Okay,
we make more on the T-bills than the interest rate on the bond that we're taking.
good. That's all I was asking.
So can I have a motion to move on with the bond?
I'll make the motion. Whatever. Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor? Oh, we have to have a roll call on this one. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Councilwoman,
Yes.
Supervisor MacArthur.
Yes.
Councilman Boyce,
Yes.
Councilwoman Gold.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hunt.
Yes.
Okay, the next resolution. I lost it, Monica. I would like to make an amendment to the handbook, the employee handbook. We have a little bit of a issue here. We have an employee that hasn't showed up to work for 6 weeks. And today I took it upon myself to do her job and I got nothing but complaints. Evidently, I'm not that good at cleaning. Anyway. After talking with our town attorney, we need to put in our employee handbook. And it's called job abandonment to cover the issue that we have with this employee not showing up to do their job. So what I need, if it somehow didn't get in the packet, but this is if you want to read it, this is,
I sent it around.
okay.
Yeah.
So I need a motion to,
I make a motion, we put it in the employee handbook
Second.
or guide.
What does it say exactly?
well, here. I don't know if you can read the whole thing. It's called, what is it? Employee abandonment. It's another one of those civil service laws.
Yeah, oh, I see.
Yeah, it's from Elena. She sent it.
Right.
Do we need a roll call on that?
I think so, because we roll call for the.
Roll call vote.
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Amy.
Yes.
Bonnie.
Yes.
Have my phone back before the battery died.
I mean, I gotta call somebody in Hawaii.
Give me.
Oh,
We're gonna have to replace that. Eventually.
yes, I agree. But we have to go about it the right way.
Right.
New business. We have correspondence from the Ankrum Hamlet Committee in the packet. Evidently, I haven't seen. I did.
You sent it to me.
Way too many papers. Oh, there it is.
It's a-
From the Ankrum Hamlet Committee to the Ankrum Town Board. Ankrum folks interested in making Route 82, Route 7 intersection safer, more welcoming, informative, and beautiful. Tinsmith House and intersection, this is the building on your right as you make the difficult turn from Route 82 north onto Route 7 north. We are aware that the name Tinsmith House is not historically correct, but it seems that most people in town refer to it that way. For the sake of people understanding what we mean, we call it the Tinsmith House, the intersection. There are well-known deficiencies in sight lines in several directions. Even those of us who are aware of the dangers of the intersection are reluctant to travel there. We have heard that the town is exploring the possibility of purchasing the Tinsmith House from the current owner. If the town or a private group of purchasers were to buy the property, it would give us the opportunity to cut into the front yard that butts Route 82 and Route 7. We could improve the sight lines and make the uphill turn from Route 82 to Route 7 much easier. It would be a huge safety improvement for all who pass through this intersection. We propose to stabilize and restore only the exterior shell of the building and purpose it as an Ankrum history display. We think that however, the town and highway departments change the front yard to make for safer sight lines, the structure of the house is not to be destroyed. We imagine keeping the vintage appearance of the structure, but design it as an open-air, walk-in history building with visual presentations that tell the story of Ankrum as a historic farming community. We foresee a place with a lovely, easy-to-maintain garden, benches, and informational weather-resistant panels that tell Ankrum's story. This proposal would solve two problems. Fix our unsafe intersection, which has been waiting for a solution so many decades. Save a building which has been unsavable to numerous recent owners. Reclaim an eyesore and turn it into a handsome and useful historic structure. We ask that the town consider options to preserve this building. One option is that it is directly purchased by the town and then restored by a nominated volunteer group responsible for securing its future through private fundraising campaigns. We think there are many grants available for projects like this. Since the building is in the historic hamlet of Ankrum, it is likely eligible for state and federal funding. We urge that the town hire a grant writer to obtain funds to preserve this historic structure. It would enhance the center of our town immeasurably. And there's many signatures of town residents on this. Are there any comments? After reading that, the next thing on business is public comment. Is anyone,
We're not gonna go over this stuff that Steve sent?
what Steve said?
Okay, never mind.
I don't know what he said. I know.
If he sent you an email. Like a week ago. Yeah.
Oh, no, we're not gonna talk about that. I know what you mean. No.
I'm just wondering, so we've had an engineer look at it,
Yes,
and Ed has looked at it,
yes.
we've had an assessor look at it. So, as a town, what would our next step be? Question, I'm not sure. I know you approached the owner about purchasing it, but,
Well, I didn't approach,
well, no.
I asked him if he was willing to sell it,
Right.
and I threw a number at him, but I didn't say we were gonna purchase it. I never told him that.
Okay.
So Amy, you're kind of on this committee if you want to talk about it.
Well, Yeah, I'm on the intersection,
Right,
issue.
right.
I mean, I think the town will have to consider, all of the proposals that come before us. Certainly, we need to consider the safety, and we all know that that the intersection is a danger. That property would allow us definitely to do some modifications, that would improve the sightlines, that as well as the property across the road. Where we already have permission to relocate their stairway and cut into the land. We just can't do that as yet because we don't have approval to move the utility pole, which would have to be moved. So, I mean, there are a lot of different issues to be considered. As far as the Tinsmith house goes, I mean, nobody wants to destroy history. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we don't want to destroy history. If there was a way to save it and turn that area into a park area, I think that would be great. We have discussed in the past, as part of the intersection improvement plan, to possibly move the cannon that now sits in front of, in that triangle in front of Simon's General Store, up to that area and create a memorial park there. Whether the structure stays or not, I mean, I think that depends on the cost of buying it and securing the foundation. I don't know if the town has that kind of money. That's even before the restoration begins. But even if the building itself can't stay, I mean, there certainly could be the park area could exist. The canyon could be moved, the intersection would be improved, we could put a plaque. I'm just thinking this through, we could put a plaque commemorating the Tinsmith house and its significance. I don't know, I'd love to hear from the community. I mean, there have been no decisions made, and certainly, you know,
We don't even know if you know.
yeah, certainly we want this to be because what would be created in its place would be for the community. So we do want to hear how the community feels about it.
Well, Amy, I have a question. I don't have an opinion one way or another whether it's a good idea or bad idea. But the question is, it sounded like the proposal was almost like turning it into a museum. How in the world do you protect people going to the museum on a dangerous intersection? Where are they going to park? Were they going to walk? Were they going to? So again, I don't have an opinion as to whether it's a good idea or not, but I would just suggest that the safety factor around an already dangerous intersection to provide an opportunity to encourage more people to walk through it sounds like a really bad idea to me. So that should certainly be
Absolutely.
part of consideration. And the other suggestion I would have is that, you know, what often happens with really good ideas and really good recommendations is that there's a lot of enthusiasm around it. But I would encourage the board to think about putting some time frame around this, and that if something isn't done and settled in, I don't know, in 1 year, 2 years, that the condition of that foundation is just going to get worse, and
Correct.
some decision will be made after that. So again, don't have any thinking one way or another. Would love to see the historical aspect of it stay, but safety part of it seems to be a big concern.
Right.
Thank you.
Donna?
Yeah, I also, there's a couple things. First, have you thought about parking?
Yeah.
You're gonna park. Where are you gonna park? Where?
Yeah.
Second, there was no problem slapping a condemned sign on a building I owned. This one's in much worse shape. Why hasn't that ever been done? Because you want to save a building that's unstable. Have any of you walked that actual property line? Do you understand that there is no property behind it? I mean, I could see putting a monument on it if you want, but keeping the outside of that structure and having people walk through it. I just don't even understand. I don't know how that could possibly. Have you, any of you walked that property? Then you should. Because we own right up to the back of that thing.
We're not advocating.
No, I'm just saying this proposition, this letter, have they walked that property? Because I think every one of them should.
Thank you. I got three hands. James,
Yeah, hi, so, James Kennedy, I'm on the Hamlet Planning Committee. So we can backtrack a little bit and not go to the extent of an historic museum or something like that. I think first and foremost, what needs to happen with the building is that I realize that the town's in a difficult situation because speaking personally as someone who revamped an old building, clearly the owner entered into this project not really knowing what was at hand. So I have walked the building twice. I was there at the inspection with Ed Torado and the town engineer. The wall is in a pretty bad state, and I agreed with Ed that probably for Joe's safety, he shouldn't really be in there, and that wall shouldn't be good. But the building is solved definitely. I mean, inside the general store, the store itself is set on 8-inch steel pilasters. There's about 8 or 9 of them hold the whole store. It's independent of the 82 retaining wall for the highway, so that the highway here in our store doesn't fall over. So the engineering project, I agree, they need to get a structural engineer in there. Joe Cantor has already told me that he got a quote for the fix, and it's $35,000. That seems to be much cheaper, saves the building. You're not going to pay $70,000 plus demolition fee, stop traffic, tear it down. It's been there since 1850. I think it deserves a chance.
But what would?
You're right.
Yeah, what would the purpose of the building be? That's.
Well,
my-
that could be discussed. Actually, that we put that out there as a sort of idea. Maybe it could be inhabitable again, or maybe it's not an open structure. I mean, you have people walking across that intersection every Saturday night in high season to go to the Opera House. I mean, they're taking their life in their hands, but they do it.
If you keep that building there, you're doing exactly the same thing.
Well, no, but maybe
You're doing that.
Okay, so here's another idea. So right now, also looking at the big picture of things, now, there are certain aspects to that you should all think about. So as far as I know, Errol, who owns the church and the Mansard Root House next door, owns the parking lot. If that sells, where are the Opera House going to park? So the strip from the Opera House, which you can see now, is the sort of creative center of the hamlet. So you've got from the Opera House, that they have bought the building next door, now you have the Tinsmith House in the corner. So from there, out of town, is sort of its own little district now, because very few people cross the intersection anyway. It's awesome there. So I just think there's room for thought on, I'm not making any rash decisions, but I totally see that it's a difficult situation, because Joe Cantor ultimately is guiding us to do this.
Well,
If I may,
I just asked one question. You said he had a price to do the fix for like 35,000.
yeah, he
Is,
said.
but is he gonna pay for that? I mean, and
So
then,
here's, I'm leading on to something else here. So I have been in touch with, this is where in our Hamlet letter, I alluded to the fact that maybe we could do a private GoFunding thing. I mean, I think this guy needs help. I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think he has the money to do it. So either we step in and help. APG, I believe, has some money. So I've contacted them. Maybe they can put something into it. But I think if it's that small of amount of fix, it's better. I think it'd be better sooner than later, stabilize the building and let it sit there, so it doesn't fall over. Would be the main thing.
Jim Stickle.
That lot's not big enough to even put a little chunk off that, fix that intersection. We need that intersection, at least that side, all on board with that. Everybody keeps saying really dangerous intersection. One of us here has seen it. With thousand crash there, that I'm aware of, ever. And everybody keeps saying it's dangerous, but listen, Steve just used that word, and I was surprised. Where did you get that word dangerous, Steve? But we're all cautious there, that's why, the way it is. Problem is turning up the hill coming from Acrement. You're gonna have to take all that building and feather that out, and maybe even Donna could generously say, okay, there's a few feet.
I already said that.
Yes, you did. To make that where when you come up, say I'm pulling a small trailer. Hell, anybody, we can make that turn nice there. Anybody coming down? It would probably eliminate probably the bus problems if that center's right, when they turn up there and get hung up every year.
Yeah.
Because then they would be able to run, swing to get up in there. But that lot is nothing, it's tiny. Very tiny. The only way to do that, it needs to go. I will say this, you have my utmost support. If you want to do that, you take that route, buy that, do that intersection. There's your start right there. Doesn't eliminate the other side completely, but it will move that line of sight down a little bit where you have a better view up that way. That's just a general observation. You go there and walk around looking over. I think there's probably a lot of us would be big support for that. Big support, making that turn.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Okay, mine's not, my topic is not on that building, it's about other thing, the open space. There's maximum, so if somebody, we map out these areas and say these are critical areas that we want to save. What happens when somebody is purchasing land and then they, are they gonna be restricted to do things that they want to do with what was just purchased that they did? That would be one of my questions. The other thing about the affordable housing is there any way we can look at some of them? They talked about the people that develop. Is there any way we can see some of the things that they've done? And I see it says rentals. Is it like condos? Is it like housing? So I think we would like to know a little bit more, and maybe they have a game plan, which I'm sure this is too early to know. So probably.
Now, let me just say,
Affordable now.
one of the company we just talked to called Hudson River Housing, just go on their website and you'll see everything. They do all sizes, all kinds of configurations. They do and
Because I'm sure we'd like to take a peek at what they've done.
yeah, no, they're a 40-plus-year-old company that have been doing it a long time. They know how it works with the state, they got funding. And yeah, look at their website. It's amazing what they do. And they're working with a lot of small towns.
Okay, and then the last thing is there gonna be, sort of a site plan on where the pavilion is supposed to go? Because I've heard of 3 different spots, and I was wondering if that was gonna be put out to the public so that they can see what was gonna happen before. I think a lot of people don't really, know what's actually gonna happen or look like. And that's it, thanks.
Any other public comments? Steve?
Yeah, just responding to that, here's a suggestion, if we get far enough down the road where we can find and decide on a builder that is willing to do the pavilion, we can certainly write up a site plan and put it on the agenda and ask the public to come to the meeting. At that time too, we could also get the public's input. We certainly would like to kind of revitalize the basketball court there, which means nothing more than paving boards and putting no nets on. But get the public's input as to whether or not they would appreciate having a pickleball court there and how we would handle timing and use of that. But the concept was from the committee that's worked on this is if we get the pavilion up, let's create as much multi-use opportunity as possible. So yeah, I think to Jen's point, getting public input is really a good idea, and I'm happy to present if we decide to do that.
Is there a sighting place right now that I'm thinking of?
Yeah, what we're thinking right now is it would get put up parallel to the current basketball court and the macadam that's there. That seems to be the best location for having some additional seating, additional use of the court, whether it's basketball or pickleball or whatever. The town is already, there's a number of lights on poles that have been around the field. Some of those have been taken down recently because they're not in use. The electrical doesn't work. The poles are in bad shape. So I think the sighting is and it's also the best place in terms of minimizing the amount of work that's required to put the foundation in. We've gotten an offer from some of the contractors, including Jim Stickle, to do that work at at cost of materials. So,
Okay, thank you, Steve.
thank you.
You want me to answer Jen's question about open space?
Yeah.
Okay, Jen,
Wait, let B had a comment.
oh, okay.
I missed budgeting. Is it definite that it's gonna be in that year and not here, or is that still?
No, I think it's pretty much been decided that it's going down there. Now, you're up, Tom.
Oh, okay. So Jen, the open space plan is not intended to be like a regulatory document. So it's really just like a community identification of areas that we would prefer to keep open. But it isn't regulatory, so there isn't anything that the planning board, zoning board, or, you know, building department can actually say, no, you cannot build there. But hopefully it just helps people come together and actually work on deciding where those areas are. So I think we envision it kind of as like a workshop type of thing, like we were saying with the comprehensive plan, where we'll probably distribute the map. If you can see where you live, maybe that is the area that you're most interested in actually working on, and we kind of make it fun, a fun planning experience, but it's not something that's meant to necessarily hinder building. It's kind of meant to say, this is better for building in our town than say maybe another area that has, you know, open space significance, so.
It's not gonna restrict, so let's say I say, okay, you tell me all that, it's wonderful, really like it, but I want to put a house there.
Mm.
Is that gonna be the problem? Is that, because the comp plan is really dictating a lot of things that we've done, and a lot of the rules and regulations, it seems. So it seems to me that we're following that same stretch again, saying, okay, we're gonna make it a workshop and do this, and then we're gonna have to convince you this, and we're gonna be restricting, just kind of like we are.
It's really not regulatory, so you can,
Well,
you know, it's like a guidance document. It's more for more information for the public and the planning board and the zoning board that they can do when they're reviewing something, or, but ultimately, it's not going to block someone from.
Not that they're going to, but. You know,
Yeah.
Can I just add, it's voluntary, but it's non-mandatory, it's recommendations. And also, for example, if you own a plot that the town says, wow, we really need to save them. The goal would not to be to say, you may not build there, but to compromise, to find a place on the land where you could build successfully. And then most of the land could be saved. I mean, and it would only be with the current planning board. It wouldn't be like some new draconian thing, you know. It would use existing zoning planning board regulations. But it would just give everybody more guidance. And it would also allow us to identify parcels of land that someone might want to set aside under a conservation easement. So that, you know, that would be a voluntary thing that the owner would do. Or, you know, we might get someone like CLC to come in and save a parcel of land that would extend some of the living areas that already exist and give maybe better access or parking or something like that. So it's not even just environmental areas, it's to improve access to the town's parks and to scenic areas.
Because we're really lucky, because we do have several different conservation areas in our town, so we're very lucky for that property, so that's why I was questioning.
It just extends those and condenses them and gives a little more current guidance.
Not doing.
One thing that we were gonna do tonight, but we were going to honor Bob
Oh,
for his time on the several different boards throughout the years. As we all know, he's not been feeling well. He's has some health issues. Jim reached out to him and he didn't feel comfortable coming around people and germs and stuff right now, seeing how he's gonna be starting some treatments. So when he's feeling up to it and can come here. We're going to do a thank you to him and a certificate and all that, but we want to make sure he stays healthy and safe so he can.
All right, I have one, one more, item on the agenda. I would like to have a motion and a second to move the May meeting to May 23rd instead of the 16th, which would be the week before, which would be our normal meeting. Number one, Monica is gone the
Sweet.
first week before that, and I am going to be gone that week, so it's kind of difficult for the two of us to put that meeting together, not being here. So if there's no objections, I will entertain a motion to move that meeting to May 23rd.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor? Opposed?
Won't be here, but hopefully I can be here.
Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom. So, yes.
I want to thank everyone for coming to the meeting tonight and being polite to each other. It was a very good meeting and thank you. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn. No, we're not.
No.
I'll explain.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn, all in favor? So carry.